Howdy Central. Terry and I are currently in the Great Smoky Mountains National Forest in Tennessee, celebrating a little anniversary trip. And, it's just one of these things that we do. We don't get to get away very often, but as you guys know, we work very hard on our marriage, and the kind of just joyous marriage that we have. And I would say to those of you who are married, say, well, we can't go to Smoky Mountains and do all that. It doesn't matter. The thing is, we have to be intentional about investing in our marriage. And so that's something we're doing. But something interesting happened while we're here. We ran into the very possibility that we might not make it back Sunday. And so if you're watching this, it's because we're not with you. In fact, where I am right now is I'm standing in the pulpit of the Cades Cove Primitive Baptist Church. This church was actually founded in 1827. I have no idea if anybody worships here today, but you have to take a gravel road to get here, and it's pretty remote. But it got me thinking about how grateful I am that when people come by Central, they don't have to wonder if it's still in existence, because the church is so vibrant and thriving, and it's just such a delight to be a part of. And Terry and I love what we're doing. We love being here on vacation. It's really great to get away sometimes, as you know. But as we were here, I was just thinking about this passage yesterday in 1 Thessalonians chapters 2 and 3, where Paul is writing to this young church. He was only with them for a few weeks and basically got run out of town, and he couldn't be with them, and he's longing to be with them, and he really wants to be there and can't. And that describes us. Even when we're not with you and having a romantic getaway, we miss you, and we want to be with you all the time. And just a couple of things I want to say about that. One is that when you look at this passage in 1 Thessalonians 3, verse 9, it says, "For what thanksgiving can we return to God for you, for all the joy that we feel for your sake before our God?" And that just describes how we feel about you guys. I was actually in a committee meeting on Sunday, and there were a couple of new people in our church on that committee. And one of them said, "Hey, can we take a minute and just go around the table? I don't know everybody's story here, and I'm sure everybody doesn't know mine." And I just sat and listened to all the people on this committee tell their stories and a little bit about themselves. And when we got done, I looked around the table. My heart was just so full. And I made this comment. I said, surely I am the most blessed of all pastors, just to be serving, not just with those 5 people on that team, but with the people of Central Baptist Church. And you just have no idea how grateful Terry and I are to be in your lives and to have you in ours. And then Paul says, "As we pray most earnestly night and day, that we may see you face to face and supply what is lacking in your faith." Now, I think in the context, a lot of what Paul's talking about when it comes to supplying what's lacking is he was only with them 3 weeks, and he writes to set them correct, or just to give them some correct perspective on some theology, specifically about the second coming of Jesus. And I think he wants to do that. But there's something even more that he talks about supplying what's lacking. And you might say, well, Mike, are you saying that you have to be here to supply what's lacking in our faith? And yeah, I am saying that. But not only that, you supply what's lacking in mine. And that's part of being a part of a local church. I mean, look at this old building here, and it's just, it's kind of worn out, and it looks like nobody's given it a lot of attention. And the truth is, when we don't give attention to our own spiritual lives, we don't look very good spiritually afterwards. And when we get together, we supply what's lacking. I'm sure you all remember COVID. And, for 10 weeks, the members of Central did not meet together during COVID. And man, we had some great ministry going on, and we had a really great online presence, and we did a lot of really great things. But do you remember the excitement that first Sunday when we got back together? Why? I mean, we can still see everything online. We can still read our Bibles. We can still pray. We can still talk to each other. But there is something about being in the room with each other. Now, the reality is, Terry and I might not get back to you because of potential weather. It also means there may not be church on Sunday. When I'm filming this, we don't know. There might or might not be. And if there's not, isn't it great that we have online, that we can stream, and we can still see things like this? But online church is just not the same. It's not what God intended. We have to be together because when we're together, we do supply what is lacking in each other's faith, and it's really a great time. And so I don't know if I'm going to be with you. I don't know if you're going to be worshiping without me. I don't know if anybody will be in the building on Sunday morning when we're filming this. But until we see each other again, just know that Terry and I are longing to be with you so we can supply what's lacking in each other's faith. Love you guys.
All right, guys, you just heard from Dr. Mike about our passage for the day. And yes, we are apart, and this does kind of feel a little COVID-esque. Obviously, a lot is different. I mean, we're probably only going to be kind of isolated to our homes, maybe for 24 hours. And at this point, by the time you're watching this, it may not even be that long. But I want to give you another passage to kind of tag along with Mike's passage in 1 Thessalonians. It's Ephesians chapter 5, verses 15 through 16. It says, "Look carefully then how you walk, not as unwise, but as wise, making the best use of the time because the days are evil." And there's some there's a part there in verse 16. It says, making the best use of the time. And a lot of our modern English translations are going to say something similar to that. But I like how Young's literal translation interprets this particular passage. It says, redeeming the time. And if you look at the original Greek, that's probably a really good translation, but that's not really something, that we use in our modern vernacular. We do talk about making the best use of our time, but we don't ever talk about redeeming the time. And if you and I, if we are going to participate in the life that God has called us to, then we are going to have one another, and we're going to have to be intentional about it. Being a part of a faith community like Central Baptist Church, and then when you look inside of Central Baptist Church, maybe like your Sunday school, where we clearly talk about how it is the entrance into community and into spiritual disciplines and into theology and just general spiritual formation. But then we take that a step deeper and we say, okay, we're going to go from that entrance into the living room or maybe around the dinner table, so to speak, using that metaphor with our home groups. And we do believe that if you are going to get the most out of this life with Jesus Christ, that you're going to have to do it together. Modern psychologists call this co-regulation, and there's literally science behind the idea that every cell in your body knows when you're stressed, knows when you're afraid, knows when you're on the search for risks, and knows when those things come into your life that you just simply are burdened by. And what's interesting is that modern psychologists and anthropologists have studied and seen that just being around people and having people speak over you the truth, having people speak over you things that maybe you don't even see in yourself, that it's a way that we can literally regulate ourselves so that way we can be healthy people, not just in our mind and in our heart, but also in our body as well too. So we need one another, and we got to redeem the time. Right now, especially if you have a family in your home, your time is probably spent doing this extracurricular activity, that thing, chasing, the next promotion at work or whatever is kind of tying us up right now. But we know that Americans are incredibly, incredibly busy. In fact, Americans, when you take into consideration the hours that we work, the responsibilities that we have at home, and the extracurricular activities that our kids are involved in, we are some of the hardest working people on the planet. Our schedules are not conducive for connecting with one another. And so we got to redeem the time. Why do I like redeeming the time as the better way to phrase verse 16 there? Because it's intentional. It's not something that we're going to be sitting back and be passive on. We're actually going to have to do something about that. And that's why the first step in spiritual formation for many people is taking inventory. And the second step is not adding things to our plates, to our tables, to our lives, but rather taking things away, doing subtraction before we do addition. Because here's the reality. If your life looks anything like mine or my family, there's probably not much more you can add to your table, to your life right now. Time is very short in the Duran household, and I know that time is very, very short in most of our households here at Central. And so if we're going to say, okay, God, like I need to connect with other people. I need to connect with my church family. I need to experience the fullness of life that God gives us in Christian community. Before we start thinking about going and doing another Bible study, going and joining a home group, going and maybe, meeting with a group of people at lunch so you can discuss accountability and confess sin to one another, or just talk about each other's day and things like that. The first thing we got to do is say, okay, God, what has to go? That's in large part how we begin redeeming the time. We look at our time and we say, okay, where do we need to shave off some things from our schedule so that way we can actually create time in our schedule? And then once we do that, that's when we start saying, okay, now we can add. Now we can add that Bible study or that home group or that meeting at lunch at our favorite restaurant or something along those lines. This other concept about redeeming the time is where I think today is just kind of unique. Most of the things that we would do on a Sunday after church or maybe even during church, those are not available to us today. And so you don't really have to think too much about what you're going to do today. There's been things removed off of your table, removed from your life today that maybe you are happy about, sad about. I'm not entirely sure. But this is what I can tell you. With the time that is given you today, redeem it. Spend some time with your family. I hope that you're watching this, and I hope that from this conversation, you guys go and have a beautiful family meal. And you might be saying, well, we didn't go to the grocery store. Well, maybe you're just eating cereal or ramen noodles or something like that. I don't know. But sit around the table together. Redeem some time. So we're starting in our home and branching out from there. We're saying, okay, here is a day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. There's things that we can't do that maybe we want to do. And now let's go and redeem it. Let's be intentional with our families. And this week, let's make a plan about how we can be intentional, not just with our families, but with our Christian community around us. Because remember, you got to take inventory. That's the first step for most people. Second step is you got to subtract. Third step is then you add. And so maybe with your additional time today as you're redeeming it, you spend some time with your family and all that good stuff. You take that inventory. You say, what's on my plate? What's on my table? What is going on in my life? How am I spending my time? Then you consider, okay, God, search me, know me, try me. Say that powerful prayer in Psalm 139, verses 23 through 24. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts. And see if there be any grievous way in me. And lead me in the way everlasting. It's essentially we're inviting God and saying, okay, God, like show us the parts that need to go so that we can experience the way everlasting. And that's when we start working on that addition. You need me, and that can be scary, and I need you. We need each other. We need the community of Christ. But if we're going to experience the community of Christ the way that God has called us to, we got to redeem the time. If you're looking for some ways to redeem the time, spend time together as a family community, we have some resources that are going to be tagged in this video that Raina and Tracy have produced for our littles and for our kids that you can do with them. We would encourage you to check out those resources, especially if you have a preschooler or someone in our children's ministry in your home. We'll be talking to you soon.
When peace like a river attended my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my life thou hast taught me to say, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. It is well well with my soul. My sin, oh the bliss of this glorious thought. My sin, not in part, but the whole, is nailed to the cross, and I bear in the more. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord, oh my soul. It is well with my soul, with my soul. It is well with my soul. And Lord, haste the day my faith shall be sight. The